Hope. Welcome. It is week 27. Oh my gosh, we're over that halfway hump now of the hashtag Crafty Hope prompts. This is my mixed media prompt card. Basically what this is I decided to take a deck of playing cards. So there's 52 regular cards in the deck. There's a couple of jokers. We might work with those later, but 52 cards in the deck. 52 weeks in a year. I thought that was the perfect opportunity to use these playing cards to build my own prompt deck. So I made a list of prompts and ended up with 156. Well, I made sure I had 156. So that means 3 prompts a week for the whole year. I've been thinking, trying to come up, I may come up with maybe 6 more prompts so that we can do something with those jokers later. If you've got suggestions for prompts that I might not have on my list, first off the list, you can find a copy of that down below if you want a prompt list. But if you see something that's missing from that list, let me know. I know that I think I was going to check the list for a couple things like found words and fine liner, I think are the 2 so far I've come up with, but there could be other things I'm missing. So let me know. Anyway, I am altering these playing cards each Monday using the 3 prompts that I draw. This was this past week in which I drew stars, lace, and craft paint, and I made this card. Both sides tend to have all 3 prompts on them, like the actual things: stars, lace, and craft paint. Stars, lace, and craft paint. But one side's more decorative and one side's more functional, just like a playing card. So, and then later on, when I get my whole deck done, I can use these to draw them to create something else. For now, I'm making the cards on Mondays, and then on Saturdays, I'm using those exact same 3 prompts to create a larger project. And I am calling this Crafty Hope Prompts. Easy peasy. I'm Crafty Hope. These are my prompts. If you want to play along, either using the prompts that I draw each week or by drawing your own from that list, welcome, do it. Have fun with it. Don't worry that I am on week 27. I encourage you to go and be inspired. If you need that inspiration, do it now. Don't worry about the weeks. Don't worry about that, any of that. Just go play. If you miss a week, if you start now, I don't care. Just play along. Use that hashtag here on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, whatever. I'll try to keep it an eye out. But if you want, tag me with the @CraftyHope. I'm everywhere as Crafty Hope. So, all right, let's draw some prompts. I'm trying not to make this too long, but they tend to, I get chatty, y'all. All right, so we are going to draw 3 prompts for this week 27, and we'll talk about some of the alternatives for them. So let's get prompt number 1 is chalk. All right, y'all, I don't even know. What was I thinking when I had chalk on here? I really don't know. Now, yeah, I think I've got some, they're like pan pastels, some kind of stamping chalk that somebody gave me. You can use just regular old white chalk. I think I have some of that somewhere. I'm gonna have to look for that. So something like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do with chalk. But if you have soft pastels, you can use that instead. That is a type of chalk, in my opinion. So yeah. I'm trying to think if you have other ideas for chalk. If you've got some like kids sidewalk chalk, use that. So yeah, I don't, yeah, I'm gonna have to look around and see what I can find. All right, that makes me a little nervous because I don't know what I was thinking when I put that down as a prompt. That's crazy. Yeah, all right. That's prompt 1. Prompt 2 is, if I can get a hold of just, oh my gosh, they're falling out of my hands, y'all, is magazine. So use a magazine in some way, whether it's an image from it or words from it or pretty much anything. Just if you want to tear it up and use it as collage, just use a magazine in some way in your project. Okay. And well, I dropped that one. Number 3 is drip. Okay, that's a little bit easier. So basically drip some kind of paint or splatter might be in here too, but I'm thinking just drips. You can do inks or paints or watercolors, or what else would drip? You could take your Stabilo and like get it to drip off of it. use water on something that and get so like drip effect on it, make drips. So you could do that whole thing. So y'all remember many years ago when people were gluing crayons to boards and then holding them up and heating them so that the crayons dripped. You could do that. Yeah, so all right, chalk, magazine, and drip. Y'all, these are tough this week. Oh, I was afraid they were going to start to get harder. Okay, let me go see what I can find, and I'll be back in 1 second. Okay, y'all, I'm back. I've gathered a couple things. So for chalk, I opened the drawer that I thought my chalk was in, and sure enough, I have this. I don't even know where this came from. I haven't even opened it. So it is just some basic chalk sticks. They are broken, apparently. So, chalk. Again, if you don't have chalk, I'm sorry. I know this is a weird one. Use soft pastels. I also pulled up these stamping pastels because I know I've got some little things. I think they were labeled chalk that looked a lot like this thing. But I grabbed this. I never use it. It's a good substitution because it is also chalky. Wait, oh, that may be from something else. Let me see. let me have a clean finger and see. But so that does rub off like chalk. So I may use that just as, because these prompts are meant to inspire you to use things. So you don't have to go by the book and use exactly that thing. If you see the word chalk and think of maybe a chalkboard that was at school and maybe the arithmetic that was on the board or something like that, that's your inspiration there. You don't have to use those things. So I just want you to know these words, these items are meant to inspire you and not put you in a rut. So don't let it stick you in that rut. So use chalk the way it inspires you. So if you hear the word chalk and you think of hopscotch, maybe draw a hopscotch thing. You know, that's what I'm saying. Okay, so magazine, I pulled out a few magazines. I have this weirdo doll one that I might could cut something out of. A lot of these are too big, I think, for my card, but we'll see. Also, y'all, I love these. They're called a reminisce, and they're always got like old photos in them that are perfect. So I may pull some of that out. There's a flower and garden magazine from 1972 that I apparently picked up at a thrift store. That's got some, this actually has like, this is thick, not shiny paper in it. That could be really good. I'm gonna go ahead and pull that out because I really like that like typewritten looking paper there that I may collage with. And then I have just a Vogue. You can see this one has been well loved. I use it to cut out things all the time. So again, let's see, some of that in there could work for collage. And I will more than likely try to find a focal image inside these magazines. And then for drip, y'all, I'm not super concerned with drip. I will probably just take, I don't know, something, paint or something somewhere in there and make a drip. If you have a stamp too that looks like a drip, that might be interesting. Yeah, okay. I'm going to get started in these. It's a crazy one this week, and I guess that's par for the course for our halfway mark, or just over halfway mark. Y'all, this card was a great example of how having some things that feel a little restrictive or unusual can sometimes be the most freeing, because you don't have any expectations going in. You just kind of are playing and seeing what happens. So that's the case this week. We're going to get to how that worked out for me, but this card ended up way better than I thought it was going to going in, because y'all could see I was a little confounded by some of these prompts. So I am using my acrylic matte medium and a paintbrush to collage straight on to my playing card. Now, I've mentioned this before, but the playing cards tend to have like a lamination on it. So not, like paint or something like that's not going to stick to it really well. So it's better to go down with something
something else that'll stick. And so I'm using my magazines to put some collage down. You could also sand it, or what else? Gesso works. I've seen, what's her name? Flighty Rambler, Stacy at Flighty Rambler has put down tea bags on top of her cards to start, and I need to try that because the texture of a tea bag is super fun. So, anyway, I'm putting down, you can see that older magazine, what was it, 1970 something, garden magazine that had the typing on it. I put down that, and then I've got a strip from the Vogue, just the writing from it. And I'm having a good time just collaging that down. I really like how thin this card turned out. I've told y'all before, I think that my cards are getting super bulky because of all the mediums and materials I'm adding to them. And I had intentionally wanted to keep these fairly thin so they would be more like a deck. Well, a lot of these mediums and things I'm using, like twine and stuff like that, and chipboard, have thickened up that stack. So this, using the magazine here, which is super thin paper, made for a super thin card, and I'm really happy with that. So I've got this other side here, and I'm putting down basically strips of these two different magazine pages. And I was getting super fiddly, but it was some of the stuff I had torn off the other two bits I had put on the other side. I'm just putting on this side. So, yeah, enjoying this. Like I said, I really like that this magazine is super thin, and I don't know, it's so easy to handle and glue. I hate putting down thicker papers on things, like some like cardstock is one of my least favorite things to try to glue into a collage because it adds too much bulk sometimes. So this was fun to put down something super thin. I'm gonna think on what else I want to do with this magazine. So for now, I've already got that one prompt down. I will add magazine to at least one side of my decorative side in another way. So I'm putting just a tiny little dot of gesso, white gesso, down on one side and brayering it out. There's already some nice texture on that side because of all the layers I put there, but I wanted to add a little more texture, so I added some gesso. And then I'm going to try it. And I'm going to try these stamping pastels a little bit. They've got little applicators on there, so I try one of those, but they're not working so great for me. I tried my finger. I think I try it, even a brush here in a second to see. Again, these are something somebody gifted to me, and I've never really played with them. And so here I'm trying to come in with the paintbrush, and then in a second I will grab a cotton swab, and that is going to work the best, really, because I could see that inside that container that I was given, she had apparently at some point used a cotton swab. So I was like, well, I wonder how that would work for me. So, and that works beautifully. Look at that. I get so much more color down. So I don't know if this is something I will play with again later, but it was neat to pull that out. That's kind of the point of this challenge for me, is to pull out these things that I don't ever use. So while this may not be specifically chalk, like I said, this is the prompt chalk made me think of these things, and they're not something I usually use. So I've got that down, and now I want to bring in drip on this side. So this is some Liquitex acrylic ink and transparent raw umber. And I'm just taking it across the top and making sure I put it heavy enough across the top that it will drip down. And I'm going to put down a little bit of a towel to catch what comes down the bottom. And yep, I'm using gravity to let it drip down my card. And at this point, I think I was already deciding that this was probably going to be the side, my functional side with my prompts. So I'm not going to do a whole lot more to this. I'm going to dry it real quick. And then I think I flip over to the other side. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. And so since I haven't used the actual chalk yet, I decide to grab some black acrylic paint. This is just some I think it's Martha Stewart craft paint. I don't know what the color is. And I'm going to brayer it too to also give it texture as well. I end up getting a little bit on the other side, and it's okay. I was trying to keep from doing that, but it doesn't matter. Not to me. It ended up adding, I don't know. I give it a thumbs down, but later on it kind of looks like treetops. So I'm going to go and dry this, give it that texture, and then I'm going to rub my chalk right over that, yeah, just right over that black. So I rub it over, and once I get it down, I'm going to use my finger to kind of blend it in because it's still very loose on there. And y'all, with the texture and everything that's on there, it looks a bit like crackle. And that's the texture, I believe, from the brayer that I use. So I'm going to hold this up so y'all can see it and pause it here. Look at that. Do you see how it kind of looks like crackle? I was really digging that. But I knew I needed to do something more. I have to add drip to this. So I thought for a minute, and I end up grabbing my gold, my new Liquitex Gold acrylic paint. And I'm going to add 3 drips to it. And y'all, there's something magic happens in here in just a second that I definitely am going to try again. So I add those drips and I'm going to spritz it with water, which of course makes that chalk disappear. But what it does is it adds this granulation to that ink because it kind of gets clumpy. And y'all, I was like, wait, is this going to be there when I try it? And y'all, it is. So, again, this is something else I am going to try again. Look at that granulation and like weirdness to it. And now, if I hadn't gotten those 2 prompts, the drip and the chalk prompt, I wouldn't have tried that. That's not something I would have found out. And now it's something I want to try again. So, that's what I'm saying about these prompts and combining them in different ways. And it's part of the reason I wanted to have 3 prompts at a time and not just one, because I wouldn't think to combine chalk and acrylic ink. Yeah. All right, so this is oh, y'all, I never get the name of these right. Molotow um, paint pen in a bright pink that I thought maybe would go over that well, and it did okay. And I tried drawing with my left hand the way I liked, but it just kind of So I pulled out the Amsterdam acrylic ink in Reflex Rose, and I'm going to do a little bit of splatter on there just because I felt like I needed some color on there with that black and that gold. Now you can still see the little bit of the paint pen I got on there, but those paint pens I bought them on clearance. So they were probably old then, and then I've had them for another couple years, so I don't think they're working the way they're supposed to. All right, so I've got all that, and even though I've got all 3 prompts on there anyway, this is my decorative side, so I want to add some kind of image, and I'm flipping, and as I flip, hold on, I'm going to show you because this is the Vogue, and as I was flipping, I found this image here that has drips. Look, I was like, oh my gosh, it's drips off this purse. But I end up pulling in that Home and Garden magazine again, and this rose image was just sitting there, and I really love it. So I'm going to take just a little bit of time and fussy cut it out from this. Now I am going to keep the parts I cut off. Do you see that texture that's on the right side of that? That's going to make some great collage fodder later. But yeah, I'm spending a little bit of time and doing this. Now, when I fussy cut, y'all, I am not super exact with it. I do leave a little space off the edge. And with this is great because this magazine being old and being magazine is super, like not flimsy, but delicate. It was very delicate and I didn't want to rip it. So I was very careful with it. And y'all, look how that pops on there. I'm so happy with this. So I'll use my Oohoo glue stick to put this on the back of that magazine image and glue it down. And from there, all it really needs is a sentiment. So I will go and grab my Tim Holtz Small Talk stickers, I think is what I got. And yeah, you'll see that. I'm going to first make sure that this is glued down nicely because I was so tickled with it, y'all. Like I said, this was one of those things that going in, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be such a disaster. But I'm so happy. I hope y'all like it too. If you do, make sure you give me a thumbs up and tell me what you think. How this is, yeah. yeah, I'm just tickled. Okay, so there's my chit chat stickers. I pull out the words be authentic, and I'm gonna ink around the edges of it just a little bit so it's not so bright white, and that's just distress ink in walnut stain. And I'll stick it right on the card. Now I'm gonna flip over to the other side because I haven't added my prompts to the other side yet because I still wasn't positive which side was gonna be which when I did that. Oh, and I realized that there was still a little bit of the original there. So I grabbed I inked the edges there too. Hey, look at me. It was still a little too bright white on the edges, I guess. So I'll cut down my prompts. Yeah, I'm going to cut that out of the video because y'all, you understand what happens. And glue those down. Oh, nope, I'm going to ink those as well. Lots of little bit of brown here. And I'll glue those down with my Oohoo glue stick and then add the number 27 in the top right corner with just a pen. And I think that's it for this. Now, y'all, this side really reminds me of like, I started to add some green maybe at the bottom of this because these kind of look like trees to me. And that's because when I bought that umber, this is how I used it with drips to make trees for another project. I'm going to link that up in the upper right because those trees turned out awesome. Anyway, that is this card for week 27. I hope these prompts inspire you. If not, draw your own. Make sure you use that hashtag. Hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed and come back later and see what else I've got going on and how I use these. Thanks for watching, y'all. Bye.